The bass from a modified Polo Vivo rattled the windows of my mother's four-room house in Orlando West. It was December 31st, the day Vikasi never sleeps. In the yard, the fire was roaring, not for a braai this time, but for the big pots of hard-bodied chicken my aunties were preparing for the New Year's Day feast. I was dressed in my freshest gear, smelling like the expensive cologne I'd saved 3 months to buy. I had a small velvet box in my pocket. I was going to ask Lerato to be my wife when the clock struck 12.
Lerato was the it girl of the block, but to me, she was the girl who shared her manguinha with me in primary school. We'd been together for 3 years. Lately, she'd been distant, blaming the stress of her retail job, but tonight was supposed to be our restart. "Thami, I'm going to Sipo's sheep bash quickly," she whispered, her eyes avoiding mine. "I'll meet you at the square for the countdown, okay?" Sipo was my childhood friend, a guy who had made it big in logistics. Nobody asked too many questions. I trusted him like a brother. "Sure, babe, I'll be there at 11:30, I said, patting the ring in my pocket. Chaos on New Year's Eve is a beautiful, chaotic beast. People were spraying expensive champagne on the tires of their cars, and the air was thick with the scent of burnt rubber and expensive weave. I arrived at Sifo's house early, wanting to surprise Lerato. The gate was open, the music was so loud you could feel it in your teeth. I walked toward the back room where the VIPs were hanging out. The door was slightly ajar. Through the crack, I didn't see a party. I saw Sifo holding Lerato, but it wasn't a friendly hug. It was the way a man holds a woman who belongs to him. "When are you going to tell him?" Sifo laughed, his gold chain glimmering. "Tonight," Lerato said, her voice devoid of the warmth she used with me. "After the fireworks. I can't live this struggle life with him anymore, Sifo. I want the life you give me." The velvet box felt like a hot coal in my pocket. I didn't burst in, I didn't scream. I just stood there in the shadows while the neighborhood began the countdown. 10, 9, 8. I turned around and walked away. I didn't head for the square. I walked 3 blocks down to the small, face-brick Zion church where my grandmother used to take me. While the sky exploded in greens and reds, and the streets erupted in whistles and screams of happy, I stepped into the silence of the sanctuary. The watch night service was ending. The old women were humming a chorus that sounded like a heartbeat. I slumped into the back pew, the weight of the betrayal crushing the air out of my lungs. The pastor, a man with skin like wrinkled leather, looked straight at me. He didn't know my story, but he knew the look of a man who had been hollowed out. "Some of you are crying because you lost something tonight," he said, his voice gravelly. "But you don't realize that God just cleared the thorns out of your garden so you can plant something that won't bleed you dry." I sat there until the sun began to peek over the Soweto cooling towers. My phone was buzzing, missed calls from Lerato, probably her Dear John speech ready to go. I deleted her number. I took the ring out of my pocket and looked at it. I realized then that my love wasn't the problem. My choice of where to invest it was. I had made Lerato my god and Sipo my brother without checking if their foundations were as solid as mine. As I walked home in the cool January 1st air, I passed the street bash. It looked ugly in the daylight. Broken bottles, spilled booze, and people passed out in the dirt. The lesson I carried home. 1. Betrayal is a filter. It's God's way of showing you who isn't coming with you into the next season. 2. Silence is power. You don't always have to fight a battle that God has already won for you by revealing the truth. 3. The right foundation. If your happiness is built on people, it's built on sand. If it's built on your own worth and your faith, no December storm can shake it. I walked into my mother's yard. The fire was still going. I picked up a spoon and helped her stir the pot. "Happy New Year, Ma," I said, and for the first time in years, I actually meant it.